And that big bad villain is named Infernicus. What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex Yu, and you're watching The Road to TF5. This is just Webster's. We're talking about Transformers last night. This is episode number 132, and in this episode, we're going to start with birthday shoutouts. They go out to Pete and Katie Kessel. Happy birthday to both y'all. Hope you have a good one. Thank you for being part of the Ragin Nation. Now, in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about the villains in Transformers last night. The antagonist element of this film has always been a little bit of a mystery. It's just scattered all over the place. I mean, we have TRF, otherwise known as the Transformers Reaction Force, which is a human antagonist element in this film. Also, we have Megatron, who probably didn't like his form as Galvatron, so he becomes Megatron somehow. And then also returning is Barricade. He's returning from his last appearance in Transformers Dark of the Moon. We also get introduced to a couple of new Decepticons. And then there's also Optimus Prime, who becomes evil because he becomes possessed somehow. But we do see him fighting with Bumblebee in the Super Bowl TV spot and also the end of the teaser trailer. So that is kind of a big deal. He becomes evil somehow. Which leads me to talk about the Maker, which is a character that in the Super Bowl TV spot, Optimus Prime refers to as my Maker. Now, this Maker character is a bit of a mystery. We all know that she has a female voice, and also it makes me think about the creators or the creator, something that Lockdown referred to in Transformers Age of Extinction. We know nothing about them except they are the creators. That's all we know. I actually can't remember if it's the creators or the creator, as in singular versus plural, but I'm just going to go with the creator. Now, I'm not entirely sure about this, but I'm just going to assume that the creator and the Maker is the same character. I'm just going to go with that. I could be entirely wrong, but that's just what I'm going to go with. So, the Maker. What does she say in the Super Bowl TV spot? Well, she says to Optimus Prime that he has an opportunity to redeem himself. You seek redemption. And he probably seeks redemption because he's responsible, or at least he finds himself responsible for the destruction of Cybertron. And to redeem himself, it looks like he has to become evil. What purpose him becoming evil serves, I really don't know. Like, I don't know what she gets out of him becoming evil. But it looks like in exchange to redeem yourself, you have to become evil. So essentially, the Maker turns Optimus Prime evil, which makes the Maker evil. She's one of the antagonists in this film, a villain. What do we know about Quintessa? Well, in G1, Quintessa is not so much a who, it's more a what. And that what is that Quintessa is a planet. It's the home planet of the Quintessons. And what are the Quintessons? The Quintessons are the creators of the Transformers. At least that's what we know from G1. In the Transformers live action universe, or rather specifically Transformers Last Night, they're introducing Quintessa as the Maker. And how do we know this? Well, a couple of episodes ago, like a couple weeks ago, I made an episode where I mentioned that Gemma Chan could potentially play a character named Quintessa. And this is based on IMDb. She could be voicing this Quintessa character. And if that's true, that means that Quintessa is a female character who is the Maker of the Transformers. At least that's all we know, or that's all we can speculate on. Well, now there's new information. I would like to thank Isaiah Webster, Jacques Bigger, Romanos Correas, Christopher Brillo, and Michael Seychow for bringing this to my attention. And what that is a couple of images from a Weibo.com user. And what those images are the back of the box for a big bad villain. And that big bad villain is named Infernicus. First of all, that's an awesome name. I love that name, Infernicus. Behold the power and destruction of Infernicus. And this is what Infernicus looks like. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. I just want to talk about Quintessa. And what we see Quintessa as is this she looks like she's just gonna appear in the movie as a hologram, because it looks like this blue, clear figure piece, and we can't really see what it really looks like because this is not a sharp image, but based on the back of the box, it shows that Infernicus is the guardian of Quintessa. So I guess Infernicus is like the live action version of the Sharkticons, or the those things that protect the Quintessons. And we know that they're beasts. We know that they're like, they're creature looking type of things, like mechanical beasts. That's all we know in G1. But in the live action version, she's protected. Quintessa is protected by Infernicus. And Infernicus looks like this. And that's pretty crazy. I mean, look at how he looks. It looks like the mechanical devil from hell. Because what really stands out in Infernicus is his head. He's got the horns and he's got the skull looking face, and he kind of looks like if you just took the middle part of Castle Grayskull and put horns on it and put him on top of this mechanical body. That's what Infernicus looks like, and obviously you can tell that this is a combiner. All right, let's look at the little individual beasts. Now, the individual beasts are a breed of beasts called the Infernicons, which is also a pretty badass name. We got Rupture, Skulk, Infernicon Thrash. Now, he's called Infernicon Thrash because Thrash on its own is a copyrighted name, a trademark name, so they got to call him Infernicon Thrash. It's kind of like Dinobot Slug. There's also Gorge and Slug. So it's 5 beast combiners that form into Infernicus, which is a pretty big deal. Now, if this Infernicus and the Infernicons look familiar, it is because we've seen this mold before in Transformers Prime Beast Hunters as the Legion class combiner Abominus. This is where Hasbro is known. This is what Hasbro is known for, and they're known for, of course, countless repaints and retools. Now, I can't really tell from this image because it's not very, very sharp, but they could potentially have different types of head sculpts, like different from Abominus. All right, because the original characters of Abominus was Twin Strike, Hunger, Blight, Windrazor, and Ripper Snapper. So I don't know if they changed up the heads, just because I can't tell from this image. It's not very, very sharp, but I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. Maybe they just decided to just change the colors and that's it. But anyways, I'm actually kind of glad that they decided not to make them rainbow colors like the original combiner Abominus, because that would just be kind of weird. I kind of like the fact that they're going with really, really dull colors, but it's not a lot of colors. Now, going back to Infernicus, I like the way he looks. I actually think he looks better than Abominus just because it's a very, very uniform color. Now, the fact that it's only red and gray just makes me feel like this is from the darkest depths of hell. And also the fact that he has a skull with horns for his head shows me that this beast comes from a very dark place in Cybertron or wherever that universe is. It's a very, very evil place. But anyways, we got Infernicus, and this is the big bad villain in Transformers Last Night. Well, or rather Quintessa is, but Infernicus is a force to be reckoned with. I mean, I was just thinking it cannot be just Megatron. It can't just be Megatron and the new Decepticons. I don't believe, and I also didn't want to believe, well, it's just Optimus Prime being the main villain. There's got to be a higher being, a bigger villain. After all, I mean, Anthony Hopkins is summoning something from Stonehenge, from what could potentially be a space bridge or ground bridge. So there's got to be a big bad villain that the Autobots have to fight. After all, there are 5 Autobots, if you include Optimus Prime. Then there are 3 other Autobots that are in the UK. You know, the McLaren, Cogman, like the Lady, Cogman, and Hot Rod. So that's already a lot of characters. Then we also have the Dinobots and Mini Dinobots. And the Dragons, Dragonstorm and Steelbane, that's a lot of good guys, right? So they gotta face off against more bad guys, and Megatron and the other 4 Decepticons, that's very little. They gotta face off against something bigger than just the Decepticons and TRF. And if they're dwelling deep into, Transformers lore, they gotta bring back something big. And it looks like they got something big. Now, what's really, really crazy is that, I'm surprised that we're getting a new character, and I think it's awesome that we're getting a new character, but I'm not surprised that it's a combiner. For some reason, after all this time, since the very, very beginning of all this, I've always believed that there was gonna be a new combiner. I was thinking it's either gonna be Predaking or Bruticus. One or the other. It's neither, but we are at least getting a combiner. I always imagined that it's gotta be something really, really big that comes out of the water, that gets awoken in the from the darkest depths of London in the Thames River, and he wakes up, and then all these people that are on London Bridge, they're like, "Oh my God, what is that?" And of course, then we have a scene where the Autobots have to lead this freaking thing out of London into the fields of Stonehenge, where they can fight him again, where they can fight him without causing too much casualties, or a human collateral, or too much destruction to buildings. I mean, we've seen so much of that. So I think that the best idea is to lead this big bad villain, Infernicus, outside of the big city of London and lead him into the fields where Stonehenge is. So that's what I think is going to happen. But we now have a confirmation that we have a Quintessa is going to be in this film. Infernicus is a brand new combiner, and here's the big question. I know that these Infernicons, they're there, right? But are they really going to look like the Abominus guys? Like the 5 Abominus guys? I think not. I think Hasbro's just being lazy, and they didn't want to make a new toy, like a whole bunch of new toys for the Infernicons, and they decided to just go with what looks the closest to a bunch of beast combiners, and they decided to go with Abominus, and then just give Infernicus a brand new paint job, which is very, very plain, and then a brand new head sculpt. So the Infernicons may not look like what they look like in the toy. Like, maybe not even close. I would think that they look like a complete mess, as in like just sharp edges everywhere and just very, very alien and organic. Like, that's what I imagine. And they decided not to make a toy out of that. So the closest thing is the little guys that make up Abominus. So that's what I think they decided to go with that. So we actually haven't even seen the Infernicons like in what they would look like. The toy representation of them, I'm positive, is not accurate at all. But one thing I do believe is that head sculpt for Infernicus is something that is accurate, because they wouldn't make that had it not been the way Infernicus looks in the film. So that's going to be pretty crazy. So we have the confirmation that they do have a big bad villain to fight. Now I'm really wondering, are the little Infernicons actually going to have modes, as in alt modes, like beast modes, like from a robot mode to a beast mode, or are they just going to be beasts? I'm thinking that they might just be beasts, like not actually transform, and then they combine to form Infernicus. That's what I'm thinking. Just because, they're known for doing that. I mean, in the previous films, we've seen Cybertronians not even transform at all, and I think they're gonna go with that for the Infernicons, and I don't know, that's just my guess. Anyways, that's all I gotta say in this episode. This is really, really exciting stuff, somewhat spoilerish, but it's out there, and I'm pretty excited. I'm really, really excited to see that, or rather to know that we are in fact getting a combiner, and it's going to be a big, big bad villain, and who knows how huge he's actually going to be. I'm really curious what size they decide to make him, because based on what I can tell from the behind the scenes footage, it's something pretty big. After all, it was hiding underwater and undetected for a very, very long time. Anyways, thank you to those who shared that information with me. I really appreciate it. I also want to give a big thank you shout out to Brandon Gandiza for passing me the information about the trailer release back in the last episode 131. And finally, I want to give a big shout out to Kit Courtney Richardson from the Arizona Autobots just for being awesome. So thanks so much everybody for supporting me and watching my videos and continuing to watch these videos, because there's more to come. There's a lot more to talk about. There's a trailer coming soon. I think it's going to be coming out tomorrow, and I can't wait. I'm actually watching Beauty and the Beast in IMAX 3D tomorrow, so I'm going to be able to hopefully watch it on the big screen, and there's going to be a lot to talk about. Anyways, what do you guys think about Infernicus? What do you guys think about Quintessa actually being in this film and what role she serves? And how do you guys feel about Hasbro being lazy again? Do you even care about those little guys, the Infernicons? And do you think you would be buying him or buying the Infernicons, especially since we've already had the Legion class combiner as Abominus? So it's going to end up being a repaint, but I don't have it, and I actually like the way Infernicus looks as a combined beast. I kind of like him. I might end up getting him, and that's probably the only way to get Quintessa as a figurine. Anyways, that's all I got to say in this episode. Once again, thank you to everybody for watching. I really appreciate all your support. There's more to come, so stay tuned. As always, if you enjoyed this episode and you want to see more, hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter, Ragin Nation. My name is Alex Yu. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.
So my world fell apart.